Double check your workbook and exit from Excel. Before you exit out of any workbook, always double check it for accuracy. You're much more likely to catch something wrong during this session and figure out what it is than later when you come back to the worksheet. Look for any cells that are empty, for example. Try to glance at the numbers that you might have stored on a piece of paper or something like that against what you've actually added to the document itself. Just go through and try to give a really good look at each possible thing here. And wherever possible, when you're finishing up a worksheet that you're going to come back to the next day, it's probably a smart idea to try to leave your work in a logical place. For example, not in the middle of an entry you're just adding. You also have the option of spell checking your document. With spell checking, understand that you can choose to check just a range of cells, or you can check the entire worksheet or workbook. To check a range, you can select to check a range, you would select the range you want to check, or to check an entire worksheet workbook, you can click within any cell, for example here, and then press the spelling icon on your toolbar, or you can go under Tools and select Spelling. Now, for example, it's telling me that total is not in the dictionary, and as you spell check, you'll be prompted for things that maybe it doesn't understand. That doesn't mean they're necessarily wrong, but Excel doesn't understand them. They're not in the standard dictionary for Excel. Here I've got a TTL and it's saying, huh? So I could change this to total, for example, which would be more accurate, but it's spelling it all out. Or I could choose to ignore it once. Whatever I want to do. For example, I would double click it and it would automatically save it. Now I'm getting another one for ABG. It's not recognizing that. So in this case, I'll choose ignore once. I'm getting the same thing again. So maybe I'll select ignore all for the average. Now at some point it may ask you, do you want to continue checking at the beginning of the sheet? Say yes. Now it's telling me the spell check is complete for the entire sheet. Now remember that spell check by itself, just as when you're working in your word processor, isn't going to pick up everything. But it's going to pick up some things and it'll make your work cleaner. So I'd advise you to run it. Now once you've spell checked and otherwise checked over your workbook, remember to save it again. Click Control-S if you're saving it with the same file name, or click File Save As if you need to save it with a new file name or as a new file type. Now, to close a workbook in Excel, you can click on the X at the top right corner of the main work area. The main work area, not the top right corner of the screen. To close the worksheet itself, you would click the X. Now, if you haven't saved the file yet, you'll be prompted to do so. See? So say yes. Now to exit Excel entirely, you can click Now on the right X at the top corner of the desktop. Or you can open the File menu and select Exit. Or even, you can press the Alt plus F4 key on your keyboard.